My parents wanted to be white. Oh, okay, not really. But they did want to live the American dream, and so when I was 9 or 10 years old, they took my brother and I to Yosemite. I remember two things from that trip. I remember seeing Yosemite Valley for the first time. It was this great, big, green bowl, pristine, beautiful, enchanting. That was the moment I fell in love with nature. I also remember that, with the exception of my family and a few others, almost everybody was white. Fast forward. Last fall, when I was 20 years old, I joined Fossil Free Stanford's sit-in outside President Hennessy's office in the main quad. We set up a dozen tents, laid out 50 or so sleeping bags, hoisted banners that said, "Divest now," and "Temperatures are rising, so are we." It felt like a campsite was teleported into the middle of Stanford's campus. There was music and laughter and lively conversation during the day, and at night, the kind of quiet whispering and companionship that comes from feeling like you're the only human beings left on Earth. My family went camping maybe once every year. I've been backpacking once on spot, and that was already more than most people have. So although the campfire culture of the sit-in felt in many ways magical, I felt like a stranger. I didn't grow up with this. I felt like I didn't belong. Rewind a couple of years. I grew up in Hyde Park, Chicago. My neighborhood was idyllic. Victorian-era homes, luscious parks, beautiful, delicious mom-and-pop restaurants. It felt a bit like paradise. But less than a mile from my house in any direction, kids were living a different reality. My parents warned me to never cross the midway to 60th Street alone because they said it wasn't safe. When we did drive there, and it was usually through and not to, I saw a place very unlike my own neighborhood. Cracked pavement, pothole-ridden streets, empty lots, run-down apartment buildings that gave off a gloomy sense of abandonment. The primary colors there were gray and grayer. I bet most kids who grew up in the ghettos around Hyde Park never got to go to Yosemite. I consider myself an environmentalist, but the environmentalism I practice is different because it is rooted in my experiences as an Asian American. My first trip to Yosemite, the Fossil Free sit-in, growing up in Hyde Park. My memories of these experiences, of these three environments, is colored like my skin. So I want to leave you with two messages today. The first is that the typical definition of environment is wrong. The environment is much more than wilderness. It is everything around us. It is the natural, like Yosemite, the social, like our campfire culture, and the built, like my neighborhood and the ghettos around it. The second message is that the definition typically of environmentalist is also wrong. To be an environmentalist requires much more than telling people how to recycle or even shutting down coal plants around the country. It's about creating belonging. From the tallest redwood to the smallest little mouse, us, white, black, brown, yellow. We are all looking for our place on this earth. We're all looking for a way to belong. In Yosemite, I yearned to walk amongst the granite cliffs as confidently as the people who were white around me did. During the Fossil Free sit-in, my discomfort fueled my desire to be attentive to form a movement that was attentive to the struggles of people of color like me. Because I asked, what kind of environmental movement would we be if we only cared about people who are white? We started a lot of important conversations that week, but we have a long way to go still. And I wonder whether black kids in Chicago's South Side, will ever get the same kind of attention we give to black bears in the Sierras. So my mission is to create a world in which we are all able to belong and thrive together. And it can be yours too. You don't have to be a tree hugger to be an environmentalist. I'm not one, necessarily. And remember, the environment is everything around us. This theater is part of our own built environment at Stanford. So take a second, look to your left, but to your right. And when we're done today, because I don't want you all talking during nice talks, ask each other, what can I do to help all of us belong?